Hello, everyone. I'm Nima Ghamsari, CEO and founder of Blend. Thank you so much for joining us today for the latest episode of The Benchmark. And today, I'm very excited to welcome Antoine Thompson today to get his thoughts on the future of real estate and discuss how to address the inequities in the system that have existed for many decades. And so, Antoine, welcome. Antoine is executive director of NAREB. Antoine, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First, I want to thank you for having me on the show. And the National Association of Real Estate Brokers is the oldest Black real estate association in the country, founded in 1947. I have a background in advocacy, serving as a former executive director of a nonprofit dealing with minority business, city council legislator, and I was a state senator in New York, in the real estate industry for 9 years this year as well, plus being owning a couple of small businesses as well. So I've been heading the organization for 5.5 years, and we do a lot around advancing Black home ownership and diversity and inclusion in the real estate industry as well.
Can you tell us a little bit, just to kick off, on the National Association of Real Estate Brokers' mission? Like, why were you founded? What do you think of as a go forward, objective, and how do you think about where you fit in the world?
So the association was founded in 1947 during the height of Jim Crow segregation in America, particularly as folks were coming home from World War II. The federal government had created a number of programs in the 30s and early 40s. One is what we now know as the 30-year fixed rate mortgage with government support. And so the federal government at that point had started a program called the GI Bill. And as many of you know, as our soldiers were coming home, veterans were coming home from World War II, there were benefits that were available to them. One was to go to college, and the other one was, one of the other ones we hear so much about, was to get no money down to purchase a home. Unfortunately, that program was not available to African Americans that served in World War II. And so so when our folks started the association, 11 men, 1 woman in Tampa, Florida, in July of 1947, we came out with a motto of democracy and housing. And so since that point, we have been working to correct a number of the historic wrongs for 73 years in the real estate industry. There is a Black ownership rate, according to the US Census, of 46%. And a white ownership rate in the country of 76%. And so that 30-point gap needs to be closed and or eliminated, and it's going to require federal policy to do that. So we have been obsessed with working on those issues, and until that gap is totally eliminated, we'll keep pressing on.
Yeah, I think that's such a stark statistic that I don't think people understand. If buying a home is one of the, for my family, for example, buying a $100,000 home in Cincinnati completely changed their financial wellness long term.
So there's some interesting data points right now. So according to the Economic Policy Institute, African Americans with a college degree are being rehired at a slower rate than whites with a high school diploma. But yesterday, the US Census put out its quarterly estimates, and the Black ownership rate, based on their quarterly estimates, only went down a fraction of a percent. And so we've been able to hold so far this year. Additionally, there are 3 million African Americans that are mortgage ready in the country, according to data that's been provided by Freddie Mac. So you have mortgage ready people who we gotta do more to get inspired to want to buy. We have shortage of inventory as well. And so those are probably contributing factors to why that number has been holding steady. Now, the real challenge is going to be to see what happens over the next 6 to 24 months with so many people, especially African Americans, that have applied for forbearance as it relates to COVID-19, because over a couple million Americans have applied for forbearances on their mortgages per the CARES Act. The other thing that we need to watch as well is to see how many folks who have government-backed mortgages and those that don't, how they're able to navigate through this economic crisis that has really shaken the country and the globe for that matter. How soon people get back? Are they able to negotiate a repackaged loan or refinance their loan with their lender? And if we're able to get some mortgage relief out of Congress and the White House for people who need some assistance with paying their mortgage. So those are going to be the three major issues to watch.
I'm curious to get your perspective on that. You said, I think the number you sent to me in advance was that 2.5 million. There's 2.5 million African Americans in the country today who are eligible for mortgages and either don't know, or there's not enough inventory, or there's some reason that they have not gotten their first mortgage yet, even if it's a good financial decision for them. So what's your take on that? And how do you see technology playing in helping expand that access, if at all? And if not, what are other mechanisms to help get those people into their homes?
Well, one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be here today is because you all are a tech company, and we need help. There are 2.5 to 3 million people, according to Freddie Mac, that are African American, that are mortgage ready, meaning they have low debt to income ratios. They got a good job as well. They can pay a mortgage. We need to be in their face. We need to be on YouTube with working with our association, NAREB, and promoting homeownership with them. We need to be on Instagram and doing little funny videos on TikTok and really showcasing those young people that have become homeowners, and with the message, if they did it, you can too. And so we have to educate people about the benefits, how it strengthens families, how it builds wealth, how it helps people that want to, over 40% of small businesses start in the home. And the fact that kids that come from homes where they own that property, they have higher educational outcomes. We've got to tell that story. COVID has provided us with an opportunity to shift the narrative. And I think we need partners like your company and others that can help us with an aggressive digital strategy to promote homeownership. Because there are millions of people that have the money, but not all of them are doing lattes and all that other stuff. They can't take trips like they used to, right? So they're at home collecting their money and figuring out what they want to do. We need to get them to buy a house.
I couldn't agree more. And especially for ones where it is in an area where, there is supply and they can get a home for maybe cheaper than their rent. It's such a good long-term decision in a lot of cases, not for everybody, but for many people who just don't know about it. There's some more opportunity to lower the upfront costs around things like the real estate agent and the title insurance. And there's opportunities to make the process also cheaper. So even more, that 2.5 million can go to 3 million or 4 million over time. But let's figure out how to get the 2.5 million people to have their mortgage buying power or their home buying power in their pocket, so they can walk around and they know every day what the system can do for them. And I think so many of them just don't know or don't understand it. And if we could find a way to get that in their pocket, whether it's via social media or whether it's through their bank in their mobile app that they have in the bank, if they're part of the banked population or whatever it may be, finding a way to get it in their pocket is so important, and have it be something that they can really take advantage of will be the first step. Because if they don't know they can take advantage of the system in a good way, then obviously they won't.
No, I mean, you're right on the money. Many people, there's been a number of surveys that have shown that so many Americans, not just African Americans, but most Americans believe that you need 20% down to buy a house. The second thing is there's been a number of surveys over the year where people think they need an 800 credit score, to get a house. And that's simply not the case as well. So, but if you're young, or if you're from a community where you're not a second, third, or fourth generation homeowner, right? Then where do you get that information from?
One thing you actually briefly touched on that I thought was fascinating was But as people are moving into homes, that's the first place that, one, they start to save more money, but two, maybe they start their businesses from their home. For the first, their first business starts from their home. And I was reading this report that Citigroup released on racial inequality, and basically, if the wealth gap was closed, there would be potentially $5 trillion in GDP added to the country. And so, like, you were kind of touching on that, but I'm curious to get your take on how homeownership can help increase the overall economic well-being of the entire country.
So let's talk about that. 40% or more of businesses start in the home, and oftentimes when you want to get a loan, you need to have some collateral. And what's the best collateral? Your home. And secondly, if for some reason you don't have a business plan and the bank is giving you all these a hard time or making it very difficult, what do a lot of entrepreneurs do? They use some of the equity in their home to help start their business. So that can be a great tool. The other thing I want to just emphasize as well is that every real estate deal provides economic spinoff. Real estate represents about 20% of the U.S. economy. And so when we increase home ownership, we're helping more folks, whether it's the landscaper to the mover, whether it's the locksmith to the painter, whether it's the interior decorator to the plumber that comes out there as well to the locksmith. So there's a lot that goes on to the real estate agent, the appraiser, the person who works in the government office doing the title and transferring the deed. All these things are impacted by one real estate transaction, and that's why increasing home ownership is so important in the impact that it has on the economy as well.
This is what I like to say to our teams. Like, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like somebody has to lose. Actually, everybody can win. Over the long run, home values have increased, and that home value increase combined with paying down the principal of that loan means more and more equity, which can be used. It should be thought of as a form of the savings for the consumer, and can be used for lots of different things. Where now they can start a business, or they can remodel their home, or they can send their kid to college, or whatever it is that they need to do, that they need money for. There's a lot more access to capital because of the fact that they've built equity in that home. What's something that you're seeing in a positive light that's trending in a direction that you like, or some legislation that you feel like is trending in a direction that you like, something that you feel is something we should be really optimistic about?
Yeah, I think that there's a number of great things. Number one, that the homeownership rate is moving in the right direction. There are a number of pieces of legislation that are out there that can make it more competitive, that can create more stimulation for that 3 million mortgage-ready people. For example, there's an American Dream Down Payment Act that was introduced this year as a bipartisan bill that would mirror the college savings plan, where a person can save for a home the same way you can for college. So we're really excited about that. We have this post-George Floyd environment around this racial unrest that we continue to see in the country. And people want to feel, I think Americans always want to know we made an honest effort. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but I think there's a certain level of awakening. Not everyone is on that page, but I think all the data shows that well over 65% of Americans believe something needs to be done. Well, everyone doesn't agree on how we get there, but I think there's a great concern in the country that we need to finally address the issues of economic stagnation that has been pervasive in the Black community. And COVID-19 and what happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor has really opened the eyes of more Americans. The jury's still out on what we do, how long, how patient people will be. But I think at this moment, people want to see action and they want to see leadership.
That's very exciting to see. Well, Antoine, thank you so much. We are about out of time, so we'll have to end it here until the next time on The Benchmark. Be sure to tune into our YouTube channel so you can see who we'll welcome to the bench next time. Thank you, everyone.